Flipping it up and out. Bogues! A recent block by Bogut.
Good recovery by Andrew Bogut.
Let's get Rogue.
Welcome to Rogue Boys, the basketball series. Been a couple of weeks off. Hope everybody had a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And for my Orthodox friends, I know that one just passed a few days ago too. Pro, how was your Christmas and New Year's?
Festive, Bogues. Festive. So, no, it was good. It was cool to unwind and talk to, be around the family and just watch a bunch of games and stuff like that. Hey, how'd your Christmas game go? I don't know if that's on the run sheet or not. How'd the Christmas game go? And you guys played it in Sydney, right?
Yeah, got the win. We got 7,000, a tick over 7,000 people, which isn't too bad considering it was Christmas Day. A lot of people, it was kind of late notice because we only announced it at the start of the season, so a lot of people couldn't plan for it. But to still have 7,000 on Christmas Day for us, for the first time in Australian sport, was a real positive. And what we saw, Pro, from those, from that Christmas game, we saw a massive bounce on our games after that ticket-wise. So we've been, I think, 11,000, 12,000 and 12,500 the next three games after that. So that's huge. We've seen a lot of people say, we really wish we could have came to Christmas. We weren't in town, but we'll make it up and come to some more games. So then they've bought on the other end. So I think it worked out pretty well for us. That's kind of the benchmark we'll start off at. And then hopefully looks like we're going to get it back next season. I can't announce anything yet, but hopefully we'll get something back similar next season and we can make it 8, 9, 10,000 and make it a tradition that we don't have in Australian sport. Like, I mean, the Americans, I think, do it great where there's just 4 games, 5 games. You can, between each meal, there's a game on. And you just sit back and relax and watch them.
Did financially, you think like that the number of people that went to the game and all that, all whatever else was around it, was it worth it? You think it was a good deal? You think it's sort of...
It's tough because we'll probably, I don't know exact numbers, to be honest with you, but our goal was if we break even by hosting the first ever Christmas game, we'll be happy. I think we're close to that. Yep. But like I said, the positives that we saw after that, you can't really factor into that game technically, but we can because we can see it with the way our tickets have sold. But the problem is in Australia, much like probably the US, it's almost triple pay for arena workers on that day, right? So we get slugged so we pay for that, and that's fine. And we want people to, be able to work on public holidays and whatnot. But that's what, if we're being honest, and people are wondering why sporting teams don't do it and NBL teams didn't really want to put their hand up and we put our hand up, that's the reason. So there's a real small piece of fat you got left there to make money on. We didn't look at it so much as a money-making thing. We looked at it as the first team to ever do it. It brought a lot of free publicity and great PR for us for the most part, and people were talking about it. Whether good or bad, agreed, people were talking about that game. And I think I know the TV number I can't confirm it yet because I'm still waiting to get the exact number, but I heard it was pretty good for an NBL game. So, in the hundreds of thousands, which is huge. So hopefully, it'll continue on next season and maybe even a double hitter. So we'll see how that all goes, but otherwise all good.
That's cool.
By the way, Pro, are you leaving us for Tim McMahon? Is that the word on the street?
I do not have any job offers as it is, Bogues. If there's, I'm a Rogue Bogues guy. I'm number one. That's number one in my heart. If I'm not going to get paid for his podcast, I'd rather it be Rogue Bogues than anybody else, brother.
Good. Pro was on with Tim McMahon last week, was it?
Yeah, he called me up and he said, "Hey, you want to talk about Luka?" And I'm like, "Cool, I'll talk about Luka," but it's like, I was with him for like 1 year, you know what I'm saying? And that was like 4 years ago. But he just wanted to talk about like perspective and what I saw early and stuff like that. Wanted to talk about that. It was pretty fun. I always like talking about it. The biggest thing was not swearing. I think I took one swear in like 40 minutes. And it was like the first like 2 minutes I got it. But then, it was very un-Rogue Bogues. So
we don't beep you out. We don't beep you out. But for those not familiar, Tim McMahon's a beat reporter was with the Dallas Mavericks, but now he's ESPN, I believe, isn't he? Or a bit of both.
Yeah, he was always ESPN.
Always ESPN, but kind of more, always been more closer to Dallas, even when they were bad. Because he's local there, correct?
Yeah, he's local, and he covered Mavericks first. Like when I never really knew who he was or what he did. I read his stuff once in a while, but when Parsons came around, when we signed him, that's when he sort of like came around a lot more. And then as his job expanded, I think he did like Memphis, Utah, Houston, and like on top of the Mavericks. And now that was when the Mavericks are sort of going down in sort of popularity a little bit with like, as far as, how the team was and whatnot. And then when they got Luka, I think he sort of started doing more, back to more Dallas stuff. So, yeah.
Makes sense. All right, let's get rolling. Team of the weeks, bro. I don't know if you've done your homework, but I have. I'm going to go first.
Oh, wow. Yeah, of course, that fucking backhanded compliment that you fucking throw at me. I appreciate that, you asshole.
No, I said I don't know. You might not have. You've been busy. But yeah, I'm going to kind of do over the last couple of weeks. So you can either do that or the last week. But because we've been on a bit of a hiatus, I'm going with the Brooklyn Nets. They are rolling. They're the hottest team in the league right now. Just got a win today. They're now 10-1 in their last 11. They've tightened up their lineup, which unfortunately has seen our Australian brethren, Paddy Mills, go completely out of that lineup. He's DNP CD most games, coach's decision, so he's not playing a lot anymore. KD to get hurt today. Someone fell into his knee.
What happened, Bogues? Really
I didn't see the play.
No?
I just saw some tweets. I haven't seen the actual video. I didn't want to really look for it, to be honest with you, because I don't like looking at that stuff. If it just shows up, so be it. I'll click it. But if I don't go searching for it, but he, I think someone fell into his leg. So people are saying just his standard kind of could just be an MCL type sprain, maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks. Nothing too serious, hopefully. But he's in the running for the MVP, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But he's having a hell of a season. Kyrie's just looks like he's bunkered down and just got on with life, and hasn't been a distraction for him for a while. Probably the longest he's been out of the news off the court in a while, which is great. And they're rolling. Mm-hmm. Like I said, Claxton's playing real well for him defensively. Always thought he was a really good rim protector, really good paint protector, and he's getting better and better. Simmons still up and down offensively, but he doesn't. The beauty of this team, at least right now, Pro, he doesn't need to be offensively inclined. When you have Kyrie and KD, you can kind of defer. You can concentrate on ball handling duties and defense. This will come up in the playoffs, though, Pro. I don't know what you think about it, but he's going to have to find a little bit more confidence offensively than he has, because it's going to come up in the playoffs where they hack him. It's going to come up in the playoffs where teams are going to really scheme, whether it's Kyrie or KD with the ball, just get off him and make him throw it to Ben and make a play. So right now it's not hurting them, but they're balling right now. Got to give them a lot of credit. They were my dark horse pick, if you remember at the start of the season. I thought they were my one kind of my Hail Mary team was probably them if they could get their shit together, and it looks like they're getting it together. And amazing what a coaching change can do when players buy in, and the coach kind of probably has a different voice than he's a different voice than the last coach you had, and they're rolling. So I got to give them some credit, Pro. What are your thoughts?
Well, Bogues, what do you think the problem was with Nash? Was it just like
too many TikTok videos?
Too demanding?
Too many TikTok videos.
Are you shitting me? Or are you serious?
I used to see all these random dances he'd be doing on TikTok.
I did see a lot.
And I was just like, dude, not from the head coach, man. Sorry, not in my book, man. You can't then walk into a locker room and demand respect from KD and Kyrie. That's just my opinion, but. I don't know what changed. I mean, I think this was all set up for failure when KD and Kyrie had that Instagram live and said, shit, we're going to coach the team anyway. It was kind of, it was due from that. But look, I mean, Steve Nash, from all I hear, very nice guy, not really a rah-rah guy, more of a give you a hug kind of guy. And I don't know, with those guys, you can't be one or the other. I think you kind of got to be in between. You got to be professional and every now and then kind of go at him, but also hug him. You can't be to the extreme. And I think he was maybe too nice of a guy for that group. Whereas I see Jacques Vaughn, and he looks like a no nonsense business type of guy, Spurs guy. Came through that program at one time. So I don't know. I think maybe there's that. Did Nash get dealt a bad hand as well? Probably, but that's the beauty of the NBA. You could be a Hall of Fame coach, X's and O's, and if the guys don't like you, you're out of the league within a year.
It's just the way the league goes, Bogues, right? Like Jacques Vaughn, his tenure with the Orlando Magic ended very quickly. I mean, the team was a joke. It wasn't good. They were young. He had a lot of problems internally. And then all of a sudden, like, he then just goes away, with scouting with, I don't know who he was scouting with, the Spurs or somebody. And then he got back on the bench, and then now obviously he just found his way back. Hey, look, they're a good team, man. I mean, I think obviously with the dynamic of like Durant and Kyrie, and then everybody sort of playing their role, like Nick Claxton's just he knows, like, look, he plays a role, he rim runs, he rebounds, he plays out of the dunker, and that's what he does. He doesn't try to do anything too much, and the guy's going to get paid handsomely for it. And he's a big part of their team because of the energy that he gives. And then guys like Royce O'Neal and Watanabe, is playing really well. And, TJ Warren's finding his legs. It's an interesting group, and Simmons is doing what he does, 8, 7, and 6. And, I think it will become an issue in the playoffs if he's not, like if I'm him, I want to shoot 1,000 free throws in games right now. And it doesn't matter. Like, get all this stuff out of the way and just let it pass, and just keep shooting free throws and keep shooting free throws. Go 1 for 10, go 0 for 12, because like you're going to have to face it on a bigger scale in the playoffs. So might as well do it now. I remember when, like I've said this a million times, we had Rondo in Dallas. Like I wanted him to get to the free throw line when he was like shooting like 45% when he got to us, and we worked on a shot and he got high arc and he was actually doing all right. But like the only way he was going to do it in the playoffs, it was if he got fouled during the regular season and got all those misses and bad nights out of the way, and then he could build off that. And that's what Simmons needs to do. I think they're a good team. The East is a beast. I think it's gonna be tough for them. I don't think they're physical enough to match up with like Boston or even Milwaukee, but I think that they could definitely make a run, a little bit of a run right here. They're number 2 if they could just stick with it. But I think they could beat almost anybody in the East. I think Boston, like I said, will be a tough matchup for anybody. But I think that I like what I see out of Brooklyn for sure.
Ben is at 41.3% currently from the line. I think he went almost 2 months. It was a month and a half without shooting a free throw. So he definitely doesn't want to get there. He doesn't need to get that to 80. I think, if he can just get to 60-ish where he's not, where he's not afraid to get there, I think that's plausible. And just back to your, you touching on the coaching stuff, there's a strategy or a formula. Like if you've got a young team like Utah who reportedly have a great head coach right now, right? Could he coach Brooklyn? I don't think so. Go back to your Jacques Vaughn point about him being with a young team that's all over the place. Then you go vice versa. You get a coach that's coaching one of these star teams like a Jacques Vaughn and put him on a bad team. It doesn't work. So what I'm trying to say is sometimes these teams with all-stars, KD, Kyrie, you just need someone who's decent, can communicate, and keeps things simple. You don't want a young up-and-coming coach with that squad because it's gonna come to an end eventually, and vice versa with a group that's bad and kind of lottery picks. OKC, Utah, you want a young, driven coach that's going to motivate them. So for those out there thinking, what's the difference? Well, that's the difference. It just is what it is. You can't have those young, energetic, up early every day, yelling and screaming coaches. Not in a bad way, just passionate energy with the star-studded teams because they're just going to tune them out eventually. Whereas you need that with a younger team. So it's an interesting dynamic in the NBA, and you always see that with the bad teams that are developing. Usually have a young up-and-coming coach. They ever rarely have. Probably the only one right now that's stuck on a young developing team, but you don't usually see that. So just an interesting note. Who you got this week?
Bogues. I'm going to go out of character, and I'm going to go with the Indiana Pacers.
Oh, wow.
8-2. Yeah, eight out of their last 10. Bogues, you look up with those guys, and they're in every game. They beat almost anybody. Not like juggernaut teams, but they take care of everybody below them. And they look right now, like we had them probably bottom barrel because we probably thought they were gonna tank
or blow it up.
Right now they're sitting tied for 6th with New York, 22-18 with that group. Where like we thought that Turner was going to go south and want to get out. We thought all these things, and those guys are scrapping and they're beating legit teams. Like I said, 8 out of their last 10. Halliburton, all-star numbers, 20 and 10. They got probably the second best rookie in Mathurin from Arizona, who's averaging 17 and 4, mostly off the bench. Buddy Hield's playing well. They're getting good play out of Isaiah Jackson, Jalen Smith. They just got a tough, scrappy team, and I think this is a team that Carlisle is best with, sort of like no big time star in their team. Even though Halliburton's put up numbers, I don't really consider him like a top 10, top 12 player. So it's somebody that he doesn't really have to cater to. He could just do what he does and just sort of coach him. And they're good. Look, I told you, we're not best friends. So, like I said, we're not on each other's, holiday list, but I will tell you, he's done a hell of a fucking job. If there was like coach of the year right now, I'd probably say he's sort of the front runner for it, just for what he's done with so little talent. And they're doing well. What do you think about them, Bogues?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, they do stay in games. You look at the scores and some games. I think today they were down a little bit early, and I thought, they're going to get lost tonight, and they end up coming back and winning. So they're always in the mix. Good balanced roster. Mathurin, like you said, just a little pitbull off the bench, not afraid of anybody, comes out and plays hard. So they got a good mix. It'd be interesting to see what they do around deadline. They have a few assets that teams are interested in Hield and Turner and whatnot, whether they make that move or whether they just say, you know what, we might be a top 6 seed. As it stands right now, they're half a game ahead of New York in 6. So, and the way Miami's playing, you don't see them really jumping in at the moment. So that spot might be up for grabs if they can, I guess that's a question for you, Pro. If you can escape the plane and you're Indiana, do you take 6 or do you still, try to blow it up and rebuild again?
Here's the thing, Bogues. And I really truly believe this. Nobody wants to go to fucking Indiana, right? Nobody wants to go to Indiana. So if you're going to tank it for the French kid, if you're going to tank it for him and you have a legitimate chance for it, then obviously that's going to be a no-brainer for anybody. But for them, if they don't get the kid, say they tank it out, and I don't think they can.
No, why is it now, Pro? They're ways away from Detroit, Charlotte. Like they got no chance.
Exactly.
And Houston's got 10 wins.
So for them, I'm literally saying, Bogues, to my guys, look, for Halliburton, he's the Michael Jordan of that town right now. It's rolling for him. Mathurin, they got him for his rookie deal. Buddy Hield and Miles Turner, you can deal them. Maybe you can get something. Maybe you can't. I don't think the Lakers, from what I've been told, and I don't know if we're going to talk about it or not, but I've heard this multiple people saying from the inside that they literally told Pelinka, you're not dealing those picks. So, if you're not going to get something like that where you can get big time assets to move you forward, then no one's going to come there in free agency. You're going to have to overpay bad players that aren't worth it. They got a good group right now that they could pay and they could keep guys in, like Turner. Okay, so Turner may not be the happiest guy in the world right now. Maybe he's a lot better than he was a month ago, but he's playing 30 minutes a night and he's at 17 and 8. Right? Buddy Hield gets plenty of shots. All these guys get plenty of shots. Carlisle's an offensive-minded coach anyway, so he's not doing much on the defensive side. He's going to do it all on the offensive side. All these guys are getting starters minutes. They get an opportunity. If I'm Indiana, I'm all right, what are we going to do right now? Because if you blow it up, right, you're talking about another 5 or 6 years of mediocrity. Right. And then and then where are you headed for there? You have this Halliburton deal going. Right. And I don't think he signed an extension yet. I think he's still up for an extension. And to my knowledge, again, I might be wrong on this, but I think he's still up for it. So you still get that in the wind where he can go south on you if you blow this thing up and he's a bunch of young guys he's going to lose and get his head, his head kicked in. You got a good team that could be top 6 for them. If I can get out of there at 6-7 every year, I mean, it's not perfect, but
6-3 is the upset usually too, right? So 6-3 is usually the college, right? It's one of those.
And Carlisle's got plenty of experience in the playoffs. If you're there at 6, you never know what's going to happen, right? And you got this team, like I said, Mathurin, you don't have to extend for a while. He's going to be with you a minimum of 7 years. Right. Halliburton, you could pay him more than anybody. So you're going to have him long term unless something really bad happens. And then guys like Hield and Turner, you could, I think you can get those guys under bird rights. So Turner, you definitely can. And I think Hield, because they traded for him, they can. So they could sign those guys long term and have this team that competes. Because in this league, Bogues, let's be honest, there's only 4 or 5 teams that really compete for the championship every year. Everybody else is just trying to find their way. And for GMs to save their jobs, they basically just they rebuild every other year. They're fucking rebuilding. Like, oh, we're going to rebuild because you know why? That's what the media wants to hear. We're rebuilding. We're going to get a treasure trove of draft picks. We're going to get pick swaps. We're going to do this and that and follow the models of Oklahoma City and all these guys that do that. But there's only a couple of teams that can do it. And I think Halliburton's the best they're going to have. As far as a player's stature, you might as well build around him with good role players that can really produce and you could really and do some things with. And then who knows, maybe you're good enough where then you could acquire, if Mathurin really takes a next level step in his development and you got this really great backcourt of him and Halliburton, right? Maybe a third guy that's a big timer wants to come to you in a couple of years if you get things rolling, if you develop some of your young players and then you just sort of have this hard mindset. And then maybe you do that because if you keep trading away and keep trying, look, if they were terrible, I would say, yeah, do it for sure. But right now you're at 6, you're not going to reach those teams in the bottom. You're going to have to get really lucky. I would just say, fuck it. Let's just roll with these guys and go forward. That's what I would do. I would not blow it up at this point. And I've heard that they don't want to blow it up. I've heard they want to keep it rolling what they're doing.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. But yeah, I agree. I would stay in that 6th spot if you can, because you never know what can happen, especially in the playoffs, injuries, matchups, all that kind of stuff. Team of the week. I almost had Toronto in, but they're a late scratch. They got a win today, so I'm going to give them a pass. I'm going with the Phoenix Suns and our guy Landale.
Yeah, me too.
They are 2-9 in the last 11, and they look horrible, and saying they're dysfunctional would be an understatement. They just do not look good. CP3's out again. I'm hearing DeAndre Ayton's all but checked out mentally, and that's not from Jock people. So that's from a friend of mine in the league office that knows what's going on around the league since the extension has been, just kind of nonchalant about things, which is interesting in itself. If that's going on, and just not a great. You can see if I didn't get word about that, if I didn't get word about this from different people, you can see it on the court with the Suns. They look like they don't like each other at the moment, and it's probably been like that the last 2 or 3 weeks, even when CP3 was out there, and it looks clunky, it looks finger pointy. We kind of mentioned it before the holiday. And it just does not look like it's going to get better. And, Booker and CP now, they got to kind of tread water while they're not playing well. Can that happen? They've fallen down to 8th in the standings. They were first at one point, bro. Remember that? They were first in the West at the start of the season. But they're fallen down into, they're below 500. They're 20 and 21. They've lost 6 straight. And that's going to continue looking at their schedule in the next couple of weeks, especially with the injuries. So they're only half a game above the Lakers, who are in 11, so they're getting in dangerous territory, and it's a different team than say a Golden State Warriors, who are around about the same record. But you just know that Golden State's going to get healthy, they're going to get together, Steph's going to come back. I think Golden State's tread water pretty well considering the injuries they've had the last 3 or 4 weeks with Steph and all that kind of stuff. So, and then the rest nights, so they've been okay, and they're used to this kind of float around 500. We'll step on the gas in February, March. And prime for a playoffs. The Suns could go the other way, man. It could end up being a 30-odd win season the way they're going. High 30s, low 40s, maybe max, just because it just looks shitty. So they get my official nod for the last couple of week hiatus we've been on for week team of that. Pro, what do you got?
Yeah, I get the same, Bogues. I can't even go anywhere different. Where am I going to fucking go? Am I going to go to Houston for the 19th time?
Toronto has been pretty bad too. They were, before today's game and the win they got, they were the 5th worst record in the league, just so you know. People forget, you look at the West as well. You look at them as a whole, they moved up to 6th worst record with a win today, but they've been pretty awful as well. So they were definitely a candidate out east. But Phoenix, people will say, Booker's out, CP's out, but this has been brewing even when those guys were kind of towards just before their injuries.
And Bogues, like, and I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. Like, what are you doing with Jay Crowder right now? Because you need a leader on that team. And to me, I don't think they have, besides obviously, Chris Paul, but they don't have an alpha dog that could keep things obviously in check. And Jay, I've been around Jay. I've coached Jay. I've had other guys that coached Jay after he left in Dallas. Like, Jay's a tough dude that, would want to fight you, will keep everybody in check, call people out. And you need that right now. They don't have a dog right there in there anymore. Ayton's not that dog. Cameron Johnson's out. Booker's more of like a gamer. Like, he's more like a Paul Pierce. Like, when I was in Boston, like, Paul Pierce wasn't that vocal leader. Maybe he was after I left, like in the championship years. But like in those early years, it was like more Antoine Walker. He just sort of he's sort of like Dirk. Like, Dirk just like did his thing. He wasn't like a vocal guy, like, getting guys revved up. And they need that. And they need somebody that's going to kick some people's asses. And I don't understand why right now, especially with Cam Johnson out, for the year, you can't just say, hey, Jay, come back, play it out. We'll trade you in the offseason if we need to. But like, if we can't work this out, but why not? We just play. That's the only, they don't really have a lot of chips to play right now. You're not going to make any trades. Maybe they trade Ayton. I doubt it. But I think that there's really not a lot of chips to play. If you look at that second unit, like either salary fucks them or just they're not good enough. Like a guy like, Jock, right? He's not making a lot of money. So even if you wanted to trade Jock, right, you're not getting a lot back because now you have to like put salary behind Jock to make a deal work for good players, right? And plus you'd want to keep him anyway. But like Damon Lee, Shamet, Cameron Payne, you're not getting a lot there. So the only trades you can make, I don't think anybody's taking Chris Paul off your hands right now for the money he's making. You're not trading Booker because you're rotating around it. Bridges is your guy you probably want to keep. Maybe you trade Cam Johnson, but like I don't think there's really any trades they make. So I think that Jay Crowder is like their guy that they could come in, and I'm not saying he's a superstar or anything, but he's something different and something that they might need. But right now they're not looking very good, man. I can't, with the injuries and the internal stuff, I can't really see them coming back now. I think they'll go over 30 wins, but I don't know if they're going to go totally shitter in the tank, especially if Booker comes back and Paul comes back and plays. But yeah, it's not really looking good over there, man.
It's not. They're going to be in the bad bunch if they do happen to make it. It'll probably be a plane. I don't think they will. I think they're going to be around. I think best case they're low 40s. I don't think they'll be in the 30s, but I think they'll be, 41, 42, 43 maybe if they're lucky. I just don't see them getting on a massive run. I don't know. I just feel like it's hard, even if you get Devin back and you get Chris back and they're healthy, and there's more problems in that locker room than injuries, as you know. And that's my concern that, you can flip that switch if you're a good cohesive group. That's why I bring that point up against Golden State. They can flip that switch pretty quickly. Everyone buys in. Everyone's healthy now. All right, guys, come on, let's pick it up now. Like, no more bullshitting. When I think if a few people said that in the Phoenix Suns locker room, there'd be some eye rolls right now, So that's kind of what I'm banking that on. But hope I'm proven wrong. But they've come on quite a fall from grace from where they were a few years ago. So that's been pretty hard to watch. Donovan Mitchell, 71 points. Unbelievable. Did you? I saw the stat line. I thought it was a mistake. Not only that, we had Luka Doncic with 60 points, 21 rebounds, and 10 assists against a Knicks team who, by the way, Pro, I don't know if you saw the end of that game. There's no way in the world they should have lost that game. Like, that was such a prototypical New York Knicks loss. They were up huge with 3 minutes left, 4 minutes left, and then still up double digits, I believe, going into a minute left, and then they pull it to overtime, and obviously that helped Luka's stat line. But 60, 21, and 10. Clay's also found his stroke. He had a 50 ball the other night. So some crazy stat lines when we took our little break there, Pro. I couldn't believe it.
Bogues, we've been talking about it for months, if not more than that. It's just like everything rule-wise is for the offensive player. Everything. You know, they're going totally scoring. I mean, look, you know, if you look at it, I mean, I haven't had the numbers to back it up, but if you look at it right now, there's 6 guys averaging 30. There's, you know, 15 guys averaging, actually, there's like 17 guys averaging 25 or more. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot of points and a lot of scoring. And with the amount of fouls and guys getting to the free throw line, I mean, it's just, you know, with a 3-point shot. And, you know, like we could actually start a side conversation about a bunch of the, well, 2 other things we could start about conversation-wise about, you know, from the scoring. There's so many huge leads that are beaten. Like guys get like big leads with 3 minutes left, up 14, and they lose it. I mean, I've never seen it in the last couple of weeks. And plus free throw blockouts, Bogues. I mean, I think every NBA coach last week was like, fuck it. And just like did an hour and a half on fucking free throw line blockouts. Yeah, I've seen about 3 or 4 in a week. That, you know,
it seems like every late game a need play, someone misses a free throw and they can get out for a 3 or 2 more free throws or an and one or something.
How about those 19 assistants you got behind? Instead of trying to draw up 88 bullshit plays that don't fucking work anyway, how about you come up with some box out drills that you could fucking, you know, you could actually add value to your team instead of like, you know, instead of drawing up those tricky plays and doing those tricky drills, you know, for Instagram. Why not like, hey, why don't we work on fucking free throw box outs today?
Yeah,
that might help.
It is a problem, bro. I this is why the whole when players start eating into all-time scoring lists, all-time rebound lists, all-time assist lists, I don't think it's fair on the older players because one, you got the 3-point line, which came in when they come in pro. Come on, when was the 3-point line in? Give me the
like 79.
So you got that's a problem. But number 2 is like. You look at the scores back then and they're 80s, 90s, 100s maybe. 100s was a good night. Whereas now, every night, you got teams scoring. Someone scored 150 the other day in regulation. I can't remember who it was. And of course your scoring is going to be inflated. So, you know, when people talk about all-time scoring list, all-time rebound, you've got so many more opportunities now. And I'm not saying it's easier said than done, but to compare Kareem Abdul-Jabbar now to LeBron, who's going to break it, yes, LeBron's done some fantastic things, and you could argue the first half of LeBron's year was in that, you know, rough and tough Eastern Conference basketball, which was in the 80s and 90s, but now it's gone the other way. The Lakers, what are they averaging? 100, 105, 110 points. They often score in 115s, 120s, and so your numbers are going to be inflated by that. And I agree. I think it's hard watching and just seeing defenders not be able to defend whatsoever. Like they get no benefit of the doubt. Even good defenders now get pulled up on. If you're an all-league defender and you've got a good rep, you could get away with some stuff back in the day. But it's hard. It's so slided towards at the least get him to the free throw line so points are going on the board and the fans are engaged, right? Whereas it's not as grinded out. But then what happens in the playoffs, pro? The referees, they loosen that whistle up. They let a whole lot more go, and then players rightfully get frustrated. Like some of these stars that are getting 15 free throws and maybe 6 or 7 or 8 of them are bullshit ones where they're drawing the contact or flopping, and now the refs aren't calling them, and the players are like, what the hell's going on? You know, now this wasn't the regular season for 82 games. Now you're not calling them, so players do get frustrated. But it's hard to watch in Spurs Pro, and I think that's definitely contributed to the high scores. You can't fault the player. They're only doing what they can, but I don't know. Is this sustainable long term to just continue to allow this much scoring when you know the real kind of knowledgeable fan can see? If you follow basketball or the NBA for 20, 30, 40 years, you can see what's going on. You know, you can see that it's strategically made to score more, and they know they do. You know, the NBA has all these analysis and AI and data and all this kind of stuff about fans like scoring. You know, if it slows down, they change the channel. They know all this stuff, so they want more scoring. But if it's done, artificially, not naturally, I don't know if that's sustainable long term.
Bogues, I'm telling you, I think most of the people that go to these games, I think most of the diehards stay home. I think there's a lot of fucking I think there's a lot of people who go to the games that just want to fucking talk, shout shit at players, fucking take selfies and get fucked up. I don't think that, I think they just want to see all the scoring. I don't think they care. I think that the product of the league, look, we could holler about it all the time. I tell you multiple times that I'm a EuroLeague guy more than the NBA. And it doesn't matter because these TV contracts are still coming up at $5 billion or whatever they're at. The BRI keeps on going up. There's nothing stopping the NBA about how it's being played right now. And they're like, fuck it, let's just keep going and keep going and keep going. And then think about it, Bogues, right? There's 800 people at every team that works in analytics. So they keep on feeding it you need this analytics and you need it. And again, it's a lot of it's good stuff, no doubt about it. But everything's sort of pushing towards more scoring. Nobody wants to go back to the grinded out days, and that's what it is, and that's what our game is. And look, I don't really fault LeBron and some of these other guys like Steph and stuff with the 3-point line, and then all these data guys pushing it where you got to push the pace and you got to push the tempo, more possessions, more scoring. And that's what they want to do. I don't think the NBA is listening to diehards. I don't think they care about the diehards. I think they care about whoever's going to their games. People continue to pay. People continue to go. People continue to want to watch this 190 point games. And that's just sort of what they want. And yeah, I mean, it's weird to watch. And then my job with my clients is to sort of break down everything they do offensively and defensively. And I spend more time on the defensive side about showing hands, not fouling, and because they're going to call all these hand checks that it's not allowed, and just trying to get those guys sort of relevant on that end so they're not getting a lot of these cheap fouls early. It's, you got to keep studying it. And I'll tell you what, the players today, it's not necessarily better than 20 years ago or whatever. I'm a big back in the day guy, but one thing these players are today is a lot smarter offensively about drawing fouls and how to sort of create. And even the role players can do it a lot better than that were done. Now the shots are terrible and they take a lot of fucked up shots that they shouldn't be taking, but creating space and getting, defenders up and fouling and things like that, they are a lot better these days. They are, they're studying this stuff. They're working on stuff that they would have never worked on 15 years ago. And I'm not a big fan of it, but it does help when you're trying to create space and create shots in an NBA game. And
it's changed. It's changed. It's the game, and I think every era. I mean, I know you're an old school guy, but I think every era gets better than the last. That's just me because I think the game progresses. Society, science, technology, recovery. All of a sudden, even probably 10, 15 years time, they won't be on jets coast to coast 5 hours. It'll probably take 3. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? So I think as everything progresses, I think players get better. Are fundamentals better? Maybe you can argue that, but then again, there is those highlights of, guys dribbling up the left-hand side with their right hand and the ball pushed out in front of them. So I think some of the fundamentals have changed, but I think players today are still very, very highly skilled. You can't take that away from them. All I'm saying is that the rules and the league have definitely wanted to make this more high scoring. But is it really that when you look at it? I don't think so. It's not natural. It's forced. It's a lot of free throws. It's a lot of, and then people might say, okay, well, how did someone score 130 and there was only 15 free throw shot? Well, because they don't want to foul as well. That's a mental thing as well. So all of a sudden you're guarding someone, you don't want to foul either. When we guard a James Harden in our scouting report, we're taught to, whether you're the small guarding him or the big coming up in the ball screen, do not show him a hand anywhere. Don't put a hand in the vicinity of his body because he's going to reach through and take your arm up with him. So we drilled that, right? So to Pro's point, that wasn't really something that people thought about back in the day, and it's gone on its head today. But yeah, it's interesting topic to see. Love to hear some feedback from our listeners around, those of you that watch the NBA, how you feel. Do you like the higher scoring? Do you not care if it's kind of forced a little bit where they're giving guys a bit more leniency with calls and free throws and having players shoot 20, 30 free throws? Or would you rather be honest calls where they're only shooting eight free throws a game and it's much more of a grind, but ends up being, if it gets to 100, so be it. But let us know. MVP discussion, Pro. Who you got right now? Give me your top 5 for MVP.
me see.
It's pretty easy.
Top 5.
I think it's pretty easy.
Top 5 for MVP to me would be, I would say Luka 1, Tatum 2, Durant 3, Giannis 4, Embiid 5. That's sort of what I got.
No Jokic. Okay. Jeez.
Jokic is right there at 6. Yeah, I mean, the number.
That's a tough one.
The numbers. Yeah, then to me, the numbers within Embiid and Jokic, they're really close. And now, I guess you could say on one end, Jokic's team's doing better. On the other end, Embiid's 33, 10, and 5, where Jokic is 25, 11, and 10. It's close, man. It's close.
I've got the same. I have Embiid not on my 5. I've got Jokic instead. I think Jokic is going to get hurt by the fact that he's won 2 in a row. If he hadn't won 2 in a row, I think he's averaging a triple-double right now. I'll check while we're talking. But if he hadn't won 2 in a row, I reckon he would be a lock this season. I just think the fatigue is going to play a factor with him and the voters, which is unfortunate, and it is what it is. But that's just the way these things go. Tatum's been great. Yeah, so Jokic is on 25.3, 10.8 rebounds, 9.5 assists, and I believe his clips are phenomenal. He's at 61% from the field. That's on 15 attempts pro. He's just under 37% from 3, and he's 81 from the free throw line. So I think he's up there. I can't call it. I honestly can't call it. I think KD's a huge chance. The way they're playing, injury might hurt him now. I think Embiid's hurt by the injuries. Giannis still is in the mix. Tatum, of course. Luka and Jokic. I think it's those 6. Just a matter of who you like more and who you don't. I think Luka's got a very, very big chance as well. But it'll be interesting to see if they can hold on with this record with him getting his rest nights and whatnot. But if Denver finish first and Jokic ends up having averaging a triple-double or close, I think he deserves 3-peat, in my opinion. But these things are a popularity contest at times, and it's just going to be interesting to see how the voters sit.
And then Tatum, let's not forget, best player, best team. Best player on the best team. You got to think, and right now they're sort of sitting there. One of the best teams in the league, and they went through a little bit of a rough patch 10 days ago, but. And then you got to think of that. I don't think Tatum's an MVP. I think he's definitely in the conversation. I think what Luka's doing is ridiculous. And then let's not forget, you get Giannis in there that we haven't really spoken about. And,
he's playing really well.
He's he's playing real well too. So,
Tatum's 30, basically 31, 8 and 4 a night. So he's got much more scoring than the other 2 guys. But not as efficient with his rebounding and assist or playmaking. So one question, I was having a debate with some people online, Pro. Not a debate.
Are you debating with people?
Not a debate.
You debating with people
not really a debate. I just put my 2 cents out there. I think there's 2 types of MVPs, Pro, and I think there's your MVPs that play within the realms of their team, and they just naturally end up being an MVP. And I'll give you an example. Steph Curry, especially the first one that I was involved with him in that first MVP he had. Ended up going back to back, but that first MVP that both of them, it was just within our system. He was the MVP, and there were stretches where he didn't score for a quarter or didn't score for 10 straight minutes, right? Because he was playing within the realms. He knew, I'm going to get my 3 or 4 minute bursts here soon because they're concentrating about Clay. Bogues just got a lob. Draymond just got a dunk. Harrison Barnes hit a 3, whatever. Eventually, I'm going to get my run going. He never really pressed for his numbers, right? And then you've got the guys that do press for numbers. And I guess what I want to tell the people is real players know, guys like yourself would know that have been around the league, you can tell the difference between someone who's pressing for a trophy, individual award, and someone who's just getting it naturally within the confines of a system. And I don't think there's many in that top 5 or 6. I'd have to look a bit closer. Some people brought up Tatum coming into a game a couple of nights ago where they were up big to get his numbers towards the end of a game. I didn't see it.
Who was that, Bogues?
Someone posted a reply saying Tatum was put into a game a couple of, last week where they were up by 20 with 5 minutes left. He was put back in to get some numbers up. So, but for the most part, those guys go about it. Some people have said Luka is in that category of going after his numbers. My argument would be, who else are you throwing it to on that team to get you a bucket?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that though. But
I don't agree with that.
It can look because he's still passing the ball. But I think the best example of it to me on this team, probably Giannis and Jokic, to be honest, are the two best examples out of those 5 or 6 where they just play within the realms of their system. And it's kind of like music going on, like a classical symphony. Everything's just all pistons are firing. And you look at the stat sheet and they have 35 and 20, right? Not saying the other guys don't do the same, but I think those two guys stand out for me where, you know, they just continue within their system. And there is a difference. And I know in the NBL, there's some NBL MVP talks gearing up. And there are some players in that league that are in the MVP running that are clearly pressing for that award. It's for players. It's pretty obvious. And I will always take the guy that plays in the realm of the system and still ends up with their numbers because they're the most, and you're winning, of course. You know, if you're floating around 500 and you're putting up big numbers, okay, it's great. You keep your team alive, but I think you got to win. You got to be handsomely over 500, in my opinion, for a chance for the MVP. And that's just kind of, I don't know what you think about it, but I think there is a difference in the two. Yeah,
it's tough. You know, unless you're in that building, it's really tough to know, you know, what that player is really doing, like with Luka, right? Like, hey, Luka to me is mostly about winning. Like he's just trying to figure out how to beat teams and win. And look, there is a certain flair of the game where people want to put their stats up and things. It's financially for them, it's stature to them, you know, no doubt about it. But a lot of times you got to carry a team on their back. And, you know, like Luka, like we talk about, like who else is he going to really like? You know, if he's not going to be the one, he's got to bring it every night. It's sort of like if you watch American football, it's like Tom Brady right now. Like Tom Brady with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he's got to hoist up like 400 yards for them to even have a chance to win. And it's the same thing. Like he needs to put up his 35. You know, Embiid, like, you know, I guess he's got Harden and stuff, but like if you're that good and you're putting up numbers, I mean, I don't know. It's for me, it's a hard thing to sort of prove, you know, that you're truly after. Like, I think it's more those scorers that aren't really MVPs, but they're scorers, like guys that put up 25 a night or 24 a night, but they're jacking up shots. Guys that are chasing assists, like, you know, versus guys who could just naturally get 12, 13 assists because they got vision, or the guys that are just trying to get assists. I don't know. It's hard. There are those guys, though, definitely that chase their numbers. But I don't know. So you're saying in the top 5 or top 6, you don't really see that? Like in the
not as much. I mean, there's an argument for Tatum based on that, whatever game that was. But over the course of a season, I haven't seen that too much. I mean, obviously, all these guys want to put up good numbers. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying there's a difference. You can sometimes see it creeping in from a selfish point of view when there's MVP votes in hand, you know, ready to be cast, right? Where guys are maybe in a game later than they should be, or there was a simple swing and they won't swing it. They want to hold it and get to the free throw line. Like that's when you can start to notice that they're thinking about, you know, I need these extra points or assists. And there are guys notoriously in the NBA. One of them, you know, one of our Australian friends is playing with one that will not pass you the ball unless he knows you're going to shoot it. That happens too. Literally, he will create a play. He will throw it to somebody who he thinks will shoot, has a better chance of shooting either a 3 or a dunk or a layup because he's going to get the assist. If there's a swing, you know, they chart the hockey assist in hockey, not in the NBA. They talk about it in the NBA. They don't chart it, and you don't get paid by it. So if you make the right play, which is to someone, and then they make the next right play, they get the assist. There's players that hate that. I want to be the one that creates it. I want to get an assist, and that comes down to what Pro said. It comes down to dollar signs on your check. It comes down to bonuses. It comes down to sponsorships, and that's just the unfortunate reality. But the MVP one's always been an interesting one for me to see when, you know, especially mid-season, once you start, at least in the NBL, they start talking about, oh, this guy should be in the MVP. Oh, this guy's in the running, and you see them change their game a little bit. I notice it. I definitely notice it. I have noticed it in the NBL. But that is what it is. By the way, Pro, our good friend Kemba Walker, we gave him the kiss of death, didn't we?
Yeah.
He's long gone.
I gave him 2. Yeah, I gave him 2. One, we talked about him, and second, I picked him up on my fantasy team after he scored like 18 or 20 that in one night. And then he was never heard from him again. So I apologize in advance.
It's a cold world in the NBA, but he had that one game. We spoke about a great comeback. At least he's back on a roster. Can he sustain being a scoring guy off the bench? And 4 days later, he got cut. Anyway, trade rumors, Christian Wood on the block. What are you hearing from Dallas?
I think it's just going to come down to extension numbers. And look,
he declined it, right? He's declined the extension on record.
I believe he has, and I haven't really read into that, but I heard it was somewhere in the neighborhood of $77 million. Maybe I'm wrong on that.
Over 4 or 5,
and I think it's over 5. But again, I haven't really done any homework on that. But I have read that it's like 77, and for them, I'm not doing it if I'm them, for sure not, because look, they're in a very delicate situation. Just trying to. I'm not saying Luka's going to leave. I'm just saying, like, to put players around him, the best possible players around him to be successful. Like, and right now, you know what Christian Wood is. Like, Christian Wood's having a really good year, no doubt about it. Probably one of his most productive years as a pro at 17-8. But like, you look at him, you watch him play. He's not the answer. And then if you're going to eat up cap room, giving him like, and again, like $18 million a year isn't like astronomical for a center, but you need other pieces that you could spend that money on. And look, it's better to let him go and like get a chance to get somebody else versus like, he's not like a Jalen Brunson type where like, yeah, you probably should have kept him and he could have really, really, really helped you. He puts up good numbers and he's decent. He's a good player, but he's challenged mentally a little bit when he plays where like he's not right place, right time, defensive stuff, messes up a little bit. Like I'm not really eating my cap up, when I could probably spend it in other places that can give you real value. Like they need shooting. Like to me, they need shooting that guys that could shoot, but also score. And they don't have that. Like Reggie Bullock and Dorian Finney-Smith, they shoot the ball. They're good players, but they're not scorers. Dorian's a lockdown defender that can make shots. Dinwiddie could score, but they don't really have that. And, and so I think that they're not going to sign him. I think they'll probably look to trade him. Or just sort of like let the thing run out this summer, maybe sign a trade or something like that. But I don't really see a huge trade market for Christian Wood anyway. Like I see protected picks. I see another contract around the same sort of type of player. But
what else are they getting? That's your point. Like what else are you getting back right now? And we know Luka wants to win. They're in 4th or 5th right now in the West, so they're going okay. Luka's somewhat healthy. I think it was a rest night for him. But, yeah, I agree. What are you getting back unless it's something drastic other than a few picks? Maybe they say, we're not going to extend you at that number, and this is maybe just a bargaining negotiation by both sides. But interesting one that's popped up basically since the start of the season, to be honest with you. He's been in rumours, and we go on to Miles Turner also. He's declined his extension. That's no surprise. And Jordan Clarkson as well has declined his extension offer. So we'll see what they're looking for. I think Clarkson could be very valuable for some teams, but depending on what that number is, I mean, the teams that probably could use him most probably can't afford him off the bench, bro.
Yeah, I mean, Clarkson's a really good one. He's a good player. He could really score. For sure. I mean, guys putting up 20 a game. He could score. He could shoot the ball. But like where they're going as a team, he's probably like, look, man, I've done this. I've made some money. I could make good money somewhere else. They're trying to rebuild. Maybe this is not where I want to go. I want to stay. He's been there for a little bit, and I think he's given them a lot of good times, in his career there, and a lot of explosiveness. I think a lot of teams would probably want him. Like if I'm the Mavericks, that's a guy they're talking about Zach. Yeah, like Zach LaVine. They're talking about if I'm the Mavericks, I don't know with LaVine's sort of injury history, I
needs
really
a ball.
No. Yeah, like Clarkson
off the bench.
Clarkson sort of. Yeah, you put Dinwiddie and Clarkson together. Like Hardaway Jr. has been not very efficient. He's had a couple of nights. He's been bad. And I think if you can get Clarkson, and Dinwiddie together, and they could sort of collectively be that, you don't really have that number 2 in Dallas, but collectively those guys can give you a boost that, give you some scoring, especially in the playoffs that you need. And especially if you don't have to give up a lot, if you have to give up a pick, like if I'm giving up a future pick, they say they don't want to give it up because they want draft picks. Fuck those draft picks. Those draft picks ain't helping you in Dallas. You're past that. Yeah, you're past that point. You need real players that can help you today. And I think guys like Clarkson's young enough. He's a young player. Well, not really young. He's 30, but he could give you 3 or 4 really good productive years of scoring. And I think that you could, if you put him in the right situation, he's a good fit. I mean, there's a guy who shoots 35 from the 3. Not a big time shooter, but he can light it up, and he's much more efficient than, in my opinion, than Tim Hardaway Jr. So yeah, that's definitely a name that you're probably going to hear. I think Podol too. I don't know if he's on our list, but I think Podol is a guy that especially they're trying to lose. I think Podol is a guy that I'm really looking at. Like if I'm Dallas, I'm looking at Podol and to see, because he's a shot blocker. He's a guy who could pass. You could run things through.
Or anyone out east. Anyone out east.
Yeah.
You got to go through Embiid most likely in either the second round or the third round. He'd be a good pickup.
What about Bradley Beal in your opinion, Bogues? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, Washington don't look like do they scratch a plane maybe? That's probably their best case scenario. I don't know what he's in. What's he hurt with right now? Nothing long term.
A hamstring or a groin.
Yeah.
I want to say one of those two.
He's been in the rumors since the offseason. There were rumors at one point that the Lakers were circling the offseason, as you just said, that I don't want to move picks anymore. I mean, there's someone out there that he can definitely help. I mean, he's a third part of a big 3 formation somewhere. I think Philly were the other one that were inquiring at one point, but I think that Maxey was a deal stopper for them. Well, there's not much else Philly can give, but he'd be obviously a huge get out of there. But can he stay healthy is the thing. And the final one in all this, Pro, just broke today. We might have a Dennis Schroeder 2.0 in our hands. Did you see this?
What do you got, folks? No, what do you got?
Fred VanVleet. Did you see what he turned down?
Oh, fuck. No. What does he got? He
turned down $114 million, Pro. Said it's not enough. Now, I spoke to a friend about this, and I said, surely he has a promise from someone else. Look, this has to be a situation where his agent is like, you don't need to sign it. I've got money in the bag. So then the follow-up to that conversation was, my friend said, well, I'm looking at salary caps. Who has money for him? There's not much out there right now. No. How do you turn down $114 million if you're Fred VanVleet? And he's had an injury-riddled year this season. They've been bad. 6th worst record in the league. That's a lot of money to turn down for anybody. So I don't know what's going on there. I mean, the logic in my head is saying he must have a promise from someone. If he doesn't, and even those promises, Pro, as you know, one trade happens before the offseason, someone gets hurt, you end up in a different predicament than you currently are. Maybe you're not win now anymore, and then you make some trade. Oh, sorry, yeah, we don't have that cap space anymore. That can happen too to a promise, because a promise is a promise. It's not a contract. But 114 mil, what do you think, Pro?
I'm going to ask you a question, Bogues. Mm-hmm. VanVleet or Brunson? Who are you taking?
Brunson.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Brunson's at $27 million and, 27.7. I think his deal goes down. And I forgot the number he actually signed for, but would you say 117? He said
114 over 4.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're looking at a base of 26.
28.5.
28.5. Okay.
Per year. Yep.
Yeah, so
it's insane.
28.5.
What do you want, 30? 31? Nah,
yeah, 31.
That's just crazy.
Unless you really hate being in Toronto. Well, now
that's the other thing. Yeah, that's the other thing. But I mean,
team's not doing great. Yeah, I get it, but
you're still paid in US dollars. You're not paid in that Canadian shit. You're paid in US dollars, I believe. So
yeah, I don't know, man. That's a tough one to me. And like you said, salary cap room.
Who has
Look,
it?
at the end of the, I haven't really read it, but like, okay, here's my ranking. I got him at 20th at his position. You tell me, all right, you tell me a guy that he's better than. I'll go with my first 19 point guards. And you probably might pick out one or two late that he's better than. Not better than Doncic. Not better than, right? Obviously. Curry, Ja Morant, Dame Lillard, Kyrie Irving, Tyrese Halliburton, Josh Giddey, LaMelo Ball, Trae Young, all right, De'Aaron Fox, Drew Holiday, Jamal Murray, Tyrese Maxey, Brunson, Garland, Murray, DeJounte Murray. Okay, Chris Paul at 17. You can probably say that because of age, you'd take Van Vliet over him. Kyle Lowry, maybe you'll take him over him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Malcolm Brogdon, you'll probably take him over Malcolm Brogdon, but not by much. So now, okay, so at best, you're the 16th or 17th best point guard in the league. Like,
yeah, it's crazy.
I mean,
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
when I read it, I honestly, I don't understand it. I'm not going to count someone else's money, but I mean, it's a lot to turn down and risk an injury, risk a not bad off season.
I'll count it, motherfucker. 114 million. I'll count it.
It's crazy.
Right there.
It's just
crazy.
It could be. And look at Schroeder right now. He's playing for minimum, right? Tail between his legs. Just lit 80 odd $million on fire. So hope he has a promise for his sake, but we'll see where that goes in the off season. Just finally with the last bit of news, it looks as though Nate McMillan is all but gone pro. It does not look good there. They continue to lose games at a super fast rate. It looks crappy. It doesn't look good. They've fallen all the way to 10th, 4-6 in their last 10. They're 18-21. They're right on the bubble line with the Washington Wizards. They should still finish above the Wizards. Wizards are still a game and a half behind them, and the Wizards don't look great at the best of times. Neither did Toronto below them. But he looks like he's gone. I've heard him and Trae are pretty much done. And on not very good terms, and we know how that ends. We called that probably about a month ago now, but I would not be surprised if they make a move by the end. If they continue to lose games, I think they'll just make a move to try and salvage something out of this season. But worst case, in the off season, he's gone.
Well, did we talk about the GM being reassigned for Golden State? I mean, for Atlanta.
Is that Travis Schlenk?
Did you read that, right? Yeah. So he's no longer the GM there anymore. The guy that I think Landry Fields.
Oh yeah.
The GM there.
Yeah, former player, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that they moved.
I don't think
they moved Schlenk to some other front office position. Correct? I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they just reassigned him. And that has a lot. Look, I think it a lot centers around Trae Young. You made the trade with Dallas, and look, Luke is one of those guys that, it's not like a typical guy pick that, he'd be really good somewhere and then not really good. Like Tony Parker, you could probably make the argument. Like in Boston, we were going to draft Tony Parker. Instead, we drafted Joe Forte, who ended up fizzling out. Red Auerbach and Jim O'Brien at the time wanted Joe Forte, and then the front office wanted Parker. So, but if Parker ever played in Boston, he may never been, maybe would have, maybe wouldn't. I think San Antonio was the perfect place for him to build up and be his guy. I always tell Dirk if Rick Pitino, they were going to draft him in Boston and they had it done, and then Don Nelson sort of stole him from him and traded up to get Dirk. I said, if you played for Rick Pitino, you would have had no chance. There are some guys that need a situation. I think Luka could find a situation to win in almost any team. But I think when you draft Trae Young, it's not as bad as Vlade, drafting Bagley, being a European guy that's supposed to know Europe, and also knowing that Bagley's not a very good player, and you end up you're drafting Bagley over Luka. It's a big thing. But Trae Young is a big deal because now this is two coaches he's going on. Didn't really have a great track record at Oklahoma in college coming through about being a great teammate or a good, easy guy to coach. Nate McMillan's, one leg out, probably 2 feet out. So now you're gonna be on a third coach. At what point do you turn and start saying, I think we talked about this last week or two, Like, at what point do you start turning around and say, maybe it's Trae Young and maybe we got to get rid of him and move on from him, you know?
Yeah, it's not good. And that was their guy. I remember when Lloyd Pierce got burned, and that was their guy. Got him. They had a really good run under him. Was the first season or second season? They went to the second, third round, right? During that Philly, that whole Philly meltdown. But Paradise is over there, so he'll be gone soon. And yeah, you kind of knew it with a star like that who's kind of free flowing and wants to play. And Nate's kind of more of a rah-rah type guy, even though he's toned it down a hell of a lot. It's interesting. All right, let's move on to Aussie Watch. Not a whole lot going on this week, but Paddy Mills out of the rotation. He's had one game on January 2nd, DNP since. The one game he had 2, 2, and 3, so not too bad, but he's completely out of the rotation, so there won't be much from him, I don't think, in the next coming weeks. Maybe the KD injury frees up a little bit if they go a bit smaller, but we'll see how that goes. Ben Simmons, 5.6 points, 7.3 rebounds, 6.3 assists, and 2 steals per game. Not a bad line, but the offense is continues to go downhill a little bit. Joe Ingles is back, pro, our guy. He's supposed to come on our podcast, but keeps giving me the cold shoulder. You know, when we had Jock on, we didn't stop hearing about it for a month or two. How'd you have Jock on before me? And now we extend the invite, and he disappears on us.
He hasn't talked to me in like 3 years. So like,
he disappeared on everyone.
He
went
used to
zero.
like hit me up back and forth. Like him and I used to talk the league and shit like that.
When he was playing, I think the injury thing, he went 0 dark 30 on everyone for a little bit. So trying to focus on his rehab, and which is fair enough. I mean, it becomes very, very daunting, those long ass rehabs, 9-10 months that he was in. But he's back.
Sure.
6 points this week. He had 6 points a game, 2 rebounds, and 3.5 assists, and some immediate shit talking versus the Wizards. As soon as he got back on the court, he got into it with Porzingis and basically called him a P word, which is kind of good to see. So that means Joe Ingles is feeling healthy and comfortable when he's back out there talking shit, going after guys. He's feeling good. Matisse is slowly starting to find some minutes. He's playing a little bit more. He's definitely not getting those spots 6-7 minutes. He's getting a healthy, 12 to 20 minutes now. Not a whole lot of production though. 3.3 points, 1.3 rebounds, 1.3 assists, 1.6 steals. But he had a 5 steal game today versus Detroit. So that's kind of what you expect from him. But he's back in the rotation, which is good to see. Jack White, G League assignment, so he's not playing in the NBA at the moment. Dyson Daniels, he's fallen off a little bit, probably hitting that rookie wall, but his defense has been phenomenal. He's still guarding at an elite level. Some people that I know that I've spoken to have said he's probably one of the best defenders in that rookie class as of today. He's almost at an elite level defender as he's starting to learn, but he's at 1.6 points, 3.3 rebounds, 3 assists, 1.6 steals. Did a great job guarding Kevin Durant a couple of nights ago. He's gets up and in, he's long, he's athletic, he's smart, and as we've discussed earlier, it's very hard to play defense these days. So he does a good job of it, and he'll continue to find minutes just doing that. Josh Green, he's still out. No timeline. It was the latest update with his elbow injury. It was meant to be a couple of weeks, but it's proved to be a little bit longer. Daly, no minutes, but his contract was guaranteed yesterday. So congratulations to Daly. He's grinded out another year in the NBA, another year to the pension plan and insurance plan, which is always good. And our guy Jock Landale finished strong today in a loss to Cleveland, but for the week he was 9 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 1 assist. That's been his best week so far. And the award goes to no suspense needed, Josh Giddey. Another great week, 17.7 points, 5.2 rebounds, 5.7 assists. But pro, he is 9 for 16 from 3 this week, pro. So
Chip England
shot it, and that's who I was going to mention. Chip England. Josh Giddey was on record this week talking about working with Chip England and talking specifically about he was flicking the ball with his guide hand as he was shooting. Now the guide hand is obviously the other hand that's not shooting the ball, that goes on the side of the ball. He was actually, holding the ball, squeezing it too long, and Chip England found something and he shot, corrected it. He said, and what I liked about what Josh said, he's had a great week from 3, shooting a great clip, but he said, I've still got a long way to go. So he's still not comfortable with the way he's shooting it and probably not comfortable with the new technique, but he's 9 for 16 is great. But as long as he continues to put the reps in with Chip England, he'll continue to get better. So that's a great sign for Josh Giddey, because that just opens his game up immensely.
Oh, for sure. Like Chip, there's there's only a few really good shooting coaches in the entire league. Chip is by far the best guy that's currently in the league, and he's got a laundry list of guys that he's built up, and I think that was their biggest free agent acquisition. Forget about any player they could have signed. Getting a guy that could really help the shot of their franchise player. Because I think, as good as Shai's doing, Shai, however you want to pronounce the name, I think that, I think Giddey is going to be their guy that going forward. In my opinion, at some point, I think they'll either coexist or Giddey will be there and Shai wouldn't. But I think that having England there, because that's the one thing that Giddey was really missing, is that shot, and getting Chip England out of retirement from the from the Spurs to have him work with him is amazing. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Giddey was like, didn't Giddey win a bunch of Rookie of the Months last year? Like, there was something like he had a streak of like 3 or 4. I don't know. I read some stat on Giddey. I forgot. I was going to share it with you. I totally forgot about it. But I think he's really good. And I think with Chip working with him, I think it's going to be a really good relationship that they could definitely cash in on. I think it will take him about a year at least. But I think by the end of next year, you're going to really see some, flashes of really good shooting from him, for sure.
Agree. Keep it up, Josh. And that's his 4th Aussie of the week. So, Ben Simmons, get your shit together. You should be nipping at his heels. And anyone else wants to make Josh Landau is making a little run with his 9 points a game this week. So, but Josh Giddey just receives so much of the ball. And his numbers, are phenomenal. All right, off onto the NBL Australia. Season's firming up here, Pro. We've got a little less than around about a month and a half left in the season. About 8 odd games left for everybody on average. I think 1, 2, and 3 are set, in my opinion. The Kings are first at the moment, 15-5. The Breakers right on their heels at 13-6. With the game to play, so they're only 1 game behind, and the Taipans are 14-7. So I think those 3 teams are going to finish in the top 3. It's pretty obvious to most people, I believe, unless something crazy happens. They're going to be a top 3. There is room to move. There is room for maybe the Breakers to jump the Kings. I don't see the Kings falling all the way down to 3, but they're only 2 games ahead of the Taipans in 3rd. So it's very, very close in that 3. From then on, it's tough. You've got the Tasmania Jack Jumpers in 4, the 36ers in 5, Southeast Melbourne Phoenix in 6, Wildcats in 7, Melbourne United in 8. Now, Melbourne United are still mathematically alive to make the 6, but they're going to need a lot of help from other results. The rest is tough to call, Pro. It's all these teams play each other. I haven't done the calculations. I haven't put out all the predictions and all that kind of stuff. We can enter it on a computer with who you think is going to win each game in each round, and it spits it out for you because they'll end up playing each other, and you just don't know what's going to happen. But this is what you want to see. It's a very, very close season. The Jack Jumpers at 11-10 are in 4th, and Melbourne are 11-12, and they're in 8th. So everyone's really, really close. It's going to be a really, really fun finish to the season, of course. For those not familiar, the NBL has changed the format this season. It's the top 6, no longer a top 4, and the top 6 means 1 and 2 get straight through to the finals or the semis. 3 plays 4, 5 plays 6, I believe. And then the winner of 3 versus 4 moves on. The loser plays the winner of 5 and 6. So it's kind of like a playing game. It's just a one game series for each round. So even if you finish 6, you could technically still could get in the finals. But it's been a really good, fun season so far. Hopefully everyone gets healthy. I know some teams banged up. Everyone gets healthy. You want the best players on the floor. And congrats to the Sydney Kings. Another title for the Sydney Kings. We are the NBA 2K NBL champions, Pro. So a player on the Sydney Kings, Archie Woodhill, beat Melbourne United's Mason Peatling in NBA 2K. So that'll probably be as close you get to a trophy, Melbourne United, this season. But enjoy that, and I don't think you have that much more success this season. But yeah, the NBA 2K, we know a lot of our listeners love that.
So Bogues, so the NBA, they've got real people that just gamers that it's sort of like an NBA practice. Like they're a team.
Yeah. Esports.
So, is this esports or is this just a tournament with
just
one
players.
player on every NBL team? Okay,
it was just players. But I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know if there's actual NBL. There isn't as of now that I know of an actual professional team. But yeah, this was just I think each player's probably the teams played off for their winner, and then they represent their team to go on and represent the team against that team. So Sydney Kings just keep on winning, pro. I know people hate it out there, but we're sorry about that. But yeah, the NBL season is coming down to the wire, and it's great to see. So hopefully, more good games coming up. I know TV numbers are going up, and everyone's enjoying the season so far. All right, Double. Get you double shout out, pro. Pay the bills. I'll pay my bills at least, so I can then one day pay you. But Double is betting.
Pay the sound guy.
Yeah, Double is betting meets social media. On Double, you can follow your friends, mates, sort the tipsters, trending tipsters, scroll through trending bets, and copy them all in one tap. Get alerts when your mates and expert tipsters place bets. Most importantly, you can follow me, Andrew Bogut, all one word. I do 2 or 3 tips a month or so on the app for the NBA stuff. I got one right about a week ago. I think it was paying 6-1, which was good. Go on, download the app, have a dabble socially. Remember, you must gamble responsibly. We don't want people doing anything irresponsibly, pro. Not on this podcast. You got to gamble very responsibly. Useful or useless, pro? Few Luka stats. All right.
Sure.
If Luka plays 20 full seasons and continues along this trajectory, he would be the all-time leader in points, along with 13,000 rebounds and 12,000 assists. Useful or useless? By the way, he has broken all of LeBron's records up until the same age to this point, pro. That's from ESPN Stats.
Wow. Let's say they're useless because of the fact that you never know what's going to happen in the next 10 or 12. Like, you don't know if he's going to be resting. You don't know, if he takes hits as far as injuries or anything like that. But it is pretty useful. I'll sit on the fence on this one because it is useful as shit if you're thinking about what he's done already and what he's done in a short career, to this point. So, I don't really like to talk about, if he does this for 20 years, because LeBron was such an anomaly with it.
I'll go on the record, and I don't think Luka's doing this for 20 years.
No.
I think you do it for 10-ish. But yeah, to do this at 20, LeBron's a freak. But
LeBron is a complete freak, but it's eye-opening for sure. Like if you look at it, because there's a bunch of guys who could put up numbers, but nobody's putting up numbers like this early on with assists, rebounds, and scoring at this level and this juncture. It's crazy, and it's really crazy just to think about. But I say it's useless because, like I said, I don't expect him to be at this clip for 20 years. I think, like I said, LeBron's such a fucking anomaly about what he's done. What do you think, Bogues?
I think it's useful just for the fact that he's beaten all of LeBron's records to the same age. That tells you that he's way ahead of where most young players are, and he's having a sensational season. So his stats, you pick up a stat sheet and see what he's doing. Absolutely phenomenal. So I'm going to go fact. I think it's not fact. I'm going to go useful. Not fact. That's the next section. I'm going to go useful on this stat just because I think Luka deserves a lot of credit for how he's playing now. I will say again, the caveat with these stats is that LeBron came in the league at a much slower pace, played against the old school Pacers and Pistons and the Miami Heat, much lower scoring. Luka's come in the prime time to get up big stats, so you got to take that into context as well. But it doesn't take away the fact that he's a phenomenal player. So I'll go fact on that. I'm going to give myself a bit of a plug, bro. I had a friend send me this some data analytics. Right? Mm-hmm. Have you seen this? It's basically how much do they cost for one block shot, right? So it's basically how much does a player cost their team for every time they have a block shot. So it basically takes into account goaltends goaltends, fouls, swipes. Maybe you miss the ball and they get a layup, all that kind of stuff. So I'm in there, pro. I'm in the top 20, which is very good. Anthony Davis is number 1. So he's played 466 games, 1,121 blocks for 23 goaltends, which is pretty good, right? Who else in there? Duncan's 2, Gobert's 3, you got Whiteside, Lopez, Garnett, Now there's 2 Garnets. There's a Minnesota Garnet, and then later on we'll have a Boston one. A Bucker's in there. Turner, Walker Kessler's in there at a young age. He's only played 30 games. Only played 30 games. He's leading all bench players in blocks. I think he's got averaging more blocks than Rudy Gobert right now off the bench, which is interesting. But anyway, I'm in there. Andrew Bogut's in there. I'm in there at number 11 with 321 games for Golden State. 403 blocks, only 7 goaltends pro. That's impressive, if I may say so myself. 7 goaltends. So I was not a JaVale McGee, Dwight Howard type shot blocker where I would, where a guy shooting from the block and I'd come from the weak side and punch it into the 5th row. I was more a meet him at the rim guy, so that explains why I'm doing pretty well. And it also takes into account recovered block shots as well. So if you recover the ball from that block shot, you get an extra point for it. So below me, you've got JaVale McGee. Mo Bamba's below me, Draymond Green, and James Wiseman. So little self-promo, pro. I thought that was a pretty cool stat just on I wasn't a guy that all out chased block shots, and that shows by the stats, but solidified by only 7 goaltends out of 403 block shots is pretty good. Useful or useless, pro?
Useful for sure, Bogues. Anything with you in it is useful to me. And plus, I want to know, are you one of those guys who funded your own study? So did you fund this study to make sure?
It's like Fauci, man. Like Dr. Fauci, gain of function. I funded it myself. It all checks out. It all checks out. I paid all the scientists enough and everything checks out perfectly. Yeah. So just don't worry about these stats. They're 100% correct.
Sure.
A friend of mine sent me this, and it's just amazing, some of the analytics. I didn't even know they had this kind of I know they have crazy analytics, but to have how much do they cost for one block? Because you could have a player that blocks 4 shots a game but misses 10 attempts and they get layups or offensive rebounds, right? So it's a pretty useful block somewhat if someone's known as a shot blocker. Okay, let's really break down the numbers. But yeah, some of these stats they have, man, how many assists has he had behind his back, like whatever it is. So anyway, it's saying
unbelievable.
Oh, it's I don't even, like we say, what do they even enter into databases? Obviously StatMuse now everything's gone towards AI. For those not familiar with AI, it's getting quite scary with what you're going to be able to do in the next 3 or 4 years. But everything you can just enter into a computer and it can talk to you like a human being. So might not need you in a few more years, pro.
Folks, you're not going to need me in a few more days, so don't worry about it. So I'm not worried about that.
All right, last one. Josh Giddey, second youngest player ever to reach 1,000 points, 500 rebounds, 500 assists. First would be, pro.
Give me that number again, folks.
So Josh Giddey is the second youngest player ever to reach 1,000 points, 500 rebounds, 500 assists. Who would be the first?
Luka?
No, LeBron.
There you go.
Yeah. To be the second youngest. It's not the fastest, it's the second youngest. And Josh Giddey is 19 and 326 days to reach that. So LeBron obviously coming in the league when he was 18. Useful or useless?
Not useful for sure. I mean, shit. That young, doing what he does. Yeah, I say it's pretty useful, man.
Pretty useful whenever you're in the same conversation as LeBron James for anything. You take it and run, you frame it, you put it on your wall. So, and Josh Giddey's playing very, very good basketball right now, and really, really excited to see his trajectory and continue to see how he develops and hopefully, be part of getting OKC to that playoff, hopefully finals one day. I think next season's the season people are going to start asking some more questions, right? Because they've got some good enough young talent that's been together enough now and they've shown glimpses. So looking forward to that. All right, fact or fake news?
Folks, I'm just going to go all-star stuff. I know we'll probably talk about all-stars in the next week or two, but I'm going to give you 3 names and you just say fact or fake news I'm just going to say so-and-so is going to make the all-star team and you tell me fact or fake news. All right, so first one, Jalen Brunson will make the all-star team. Fact or fake news?
I need to pull up some lists or something, man. Who's he competing with?
Hey, look, do you want to scrap? We could scrap fact or fake news, and we could say this is just fake news, period, and just wait till next week on it. I don't really mind.
No, we can do it. I'm going to pull up some teams. So we've got Boston. So you got Tatum's a lock. You got KD, Kyrie. Probably you got. Does Drew Holiday get in? Probably not.
My question to you is, he is an all-star, meaning like you don't have to add up guys or whatever. Like, do you think what he's doing is all-star worthy. And, like we could throw up some numbers for sure for him.
21 and 6 with 3.5 rebounds.
Yeah.
I don't think he makes the All-Star game. Because he plays for the Knicks, I think he gets a bit more love because they want someone from New York in it. But you look above him, who he's competing with. There's a lot of guards, man. Like I said, you got Tatum, you got Kyrie, Drew Holiday's in there, Donovan Mitchell, James Harden, Tyrese Halliburton's going to be in there. Brunson, he might be just. If I have to call it, I'm going to say fake news. He's not going to be an All-Star. Not going to be on the All-Star roster this year. I reckon he's going to be right on the bubble. He's going to be either the last one in or the last one out.
It's a good question. I would say because of Halliburton and what he's doing this year. But like you said, Brunson's in New York, and they want somebody, from the Knicks in there. I think it's going to be really hard. Although they're tied with Indiana right now, so
Indiana's one game up.
And down on
Indiana's half a game up because they won 23 and 18, 22 and 18.
I'm going to say Brunson's an all-star. I'm going to say what he's doing. He's an all-star, but Halliburton though, and then. You got to talk about Trae Young, and you got to talk about Kyrie, and you got.
I'm putting him in
Holiday as well.
Before Trae Young, anyone below them,
yeah.
Like Atlanta shouldn't be in there. I mean, Atlanta, you're about to get your coach fired. Trae Young's probably going to make it too. That's going to be a sacrilege of it. I don't think he should. I'd put Brunson in over Trae Young.
Okay,
that's just me though.
No, I mean that's somebody that you got to.
Trae's numbers are better. Trae's numbers are better, but they're not winning. They should be way better. They've been together now a couple of years. They retooled their roster again. They brought back most of the same guys. Like they should be much better than what they're 19 and 21 and getting your coach fired. That in my opinion. And I mean his numbers are. You look at his numbers and you're like all-star 27 and 10 a night. But I'd rather a winner. I'd rather Brunson with a little bit less numbers, but at least you're winning games and the coach is going to get fired.
All right, and then what's you know how the shit show the All-Star voting is and the fans. I mean, I can't wait to talk about some of this stuff that with the votes. I forgot some insane guys that are getting good votes. The NBA, do you have the days where your vote's worth 3?
No, it's such a joke.
Nights if you vote, it's a joke, man.
It's a beauty pageant. It's a beauty pageant. It's not a. It's you just pay your PA to go and do some votes for you at different places.
It's crazy, but that's nuts. I've heard NBA teams hiring a fleet of interns just to vote for guys, constantly. Vote for their people. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Anyways, Anthony Davis has played 62% of his games so far. Is he an all-star? Forget about the league. Does Andrew Bogut, voting agency, vote in Anthony Davis right now? And let's not forget, he's averaging 27 and 12, but he's only played 62% of his game.
No, I'm not doing it just because they're not in the 10. Right, I think they're now to 11th now, haven't they? They're 11th in the West.
Mm-hmm.
A team with LeBron and KD should not be 11th in the West. Period. I don't care. I don't want to hear it. They should be better than they are. You can tell me about the shooting. You can tell me about this, but and he's been hurt. So if he was healthy and they were even in 8th, he's in. He's a lock. But I think I value wins with All-Star. I think he's going to get in per the league. They're definitely going to have 2 Lakers in there, and people are going to lose their shit because they're going to be like, how's there 2 LA players when they're only 10th, 11th in the league? But I think he's a phenomenal player, but hasn't played enough games, and they haven't won enough games for me. So I'm gonna say no.
Last one, Bogues, and I'm gonna put one player against another, and you tell me. Klay Thompson makes the All-Star team over CJ McCollum. Now let me read you the stats because they're insanely close in some regards. Klay's averaging 20.6, CJ 20.4. Rebounds, Klay 3.9, CJ 4.8. Assists, obviously CJ's got more, 6 to his 2.5. Field goal percentage, Klay 41.5, CJ 42.4. free throw shooting, Clay's got him 89-8 to 79-8. 3-point shooting, 38-3 for Clay, 39-8 for CJ McCollum. Who would you put, Klay Thompson? Or you don't want to incriminate yourself with him, you could plead the fifth. I will accept you plead the fifth.
No, I won't plead the fifth. Look, I think right now, today, I think McCollum gets in based on their record. They're 24-16. They're playing well. I'll say this, Clay's turned it on the last 2 or 3 weeks. If he continues this, the human torch that he's had up until the end of January, early Feb, not only is his numbers going to get better and he's going to cause more attention, they're going to win more games because he's playing well, then he'll have a chance to take out CJ. But as of today, I think 24-16, man. Look, CJ's done a fantastic job there. The Pelicans should be proud of where they're at so far. They've had injuries again. Zion's out. Ingram's been out a long time. They've had different role players at different times, and they've just continued to chug along. So Willie Green deserves a lot of credit, their head coach, and CJ is one of their main players. So they definitely need, an all-star, if not two. And I think Zion should get in there. And the other one would be CJ. I think if Ingram was healthy, that they could have been an arguing point. If they're still third, if they might have got 3 in, maybe, But to your point, I'm not going to incriminate myself. I mean, Clay might be mad, but as of today, no. But I'll tell you, Clay's found something these last couple of weeks. It seems like he's shot his way out of it, and we all know all he needs is one of those nights where he hits 40, scores 50, and things start looking a whole lot better. So I'm excited to watch the rest of their games once they start to get healthy this next couple of weeks and see Clay out there back to being the human torch that he is.
Yeah, I'm going to say Clay over CJ, but it's really close. But you're right with you don't even notice sometimes that Ingram's only played 34% of his games. I've totally forgot about that. I thought, he's been out for a couple of weeks and whatnot, but no, you look at it, he's been out for a while. What's going on? Is it a knee?
I'm not sure what it is now. I can Google. I know there was a concussion early on, and I think he reconcussed. I think he got a concussion again, but it might have been a leg injury. Let's see. Okay. So saying he hopes to return in the next week. That's all we really got. What is it? A big toe remains out for Friday. He's missed the last 19 games. So probably turf toe or something like that along those lines, or hopefully not a fracture or a break, but 19 games is a long time for a big toe. So
who would ever thought they were going to be third, Bogues, huh?
I know. I thought they'd be competitive for sure. I had them in the mix because they're just so long and they got so many different lineups. They're missing. If I was them, I'd, go after a Bogdanovich from Detroit or someone like that. If they can Jordan Clarkson, you just get someone off the bench that can provide another scoring punch for him, they're going to be very, very tough to stop. You could argue, do they go after another defensive-minded big maybe with Valanciunas? I don't think so, because I think they're going to go Zion at the 5 a lot as well. But I think they're a piece away from being a legit contender. Another year of this playoff run will teach them a lot. And then if they can be smart in the off season or even pre-deadline, look out, man. They got a lot of good pieces there. So I'm excited. But I wanted to finish on this, Pro. Have you watched the Last Chance Universities by any chance? Last Chance U.
I've heard it's a complete sham, though. I heard the guy. I've watched the football one, the first year of it, 2 years of it. And then I was going to watch the basketball one. And my guys tell me that the guy totally, this is why I don't believe in fucking reality TV. They said the guy knows where every camera is and he completely bullshits you into the thing. It's a pretty interesting deal with the JUCO stuff in California and all that. But, I've heard the guy plays it up for the camera a little bit much, but it is an interesting, entertaining story, entertaining TV for sure. I have not seen it. What are your thoughts on it, Bogues?
I started watching it a little bit just because I was like, you know what, let me check this on. It's basketball. He does put it on. He definitely knows where the cameras are. But I mean, to me, it's like most coaches in college, to an extent, do that. What I will say is, man, these coaches should be paid millions. these junior college coaches, bro. I know it's dramatized and they're at it, but it's pretty junior college is wait, is it? I think it's community college. Yeah.
No, it's the same thing.
It's a JUCO, but it's a no funds, like budget, JUCO, right?
Yeah, so I heard this. I learned the whole JUCO thing a long time ago. So, like, JUCOs are huge in like Oklahoma, Texas, Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas. That's like the national JUCO. California isn't part of that JUCO deal. Now the JUCOs in like Kansas and those guys, they give scholarships. They're like regular teams. Now they're in the middle of nowhere and all that, but they give scholarships. With California, there's like 150 JUCOs in Cali, right? And they give no scholarships. It's all financial aid. So like they get around it a little bit, but they're in their own conference. They don't have a national championship. They have a state championship, and there's no scholarships. So, and then Bogues, the biggest problem is you've been out there. It's California. I did a clinic for my boy out near you, actually, in Golden State. I think it was like Menlo.
Yep.
It's Silicon Valley. And he had me do like work out his team and then do a little coaches clinic for a bunch of area college coaches. Well, there was some JUCO coaches out there in that area, in the Bay Area, guys making like 60 or 70, but because of like housing, the guy is in like $1 million house and is basically upside down, could barely afford it because like all these JUCO coaches, they make like 70, 80, 90,000, but the housing is so crazy in California and they can't afford it. Like it's crazy. It's insane. Now, some of these schools offer free housing, which helps the coaches, but not a lot. It's California. But yeah, so tell me about the show, Bogues. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, well, whether the coach puts it on or not, my point is some of these JUCO coaches, you're dealing with, for people not familiar with what JUCO is, it might be a kid that's really good. It might be a kid that is a high school, like one of the best players in the high school class, doesn't pass, can't get a scholarship to a big time university because he doesn't have the grades, or it's kids that have gone to a big time university and they're kind of, not the greatest kids at that point in their life and they're hard to deal with and they just release and they end up going, down on their dumps and end up in a JUCO. So these coaches, they're there. This guy's making no money really. Like it's pretty obvious. He can't even get like hoops fixed and this, that, and no athletic budget, so you just basically, you're getting everyone's, it's harsh to say, but you're getting everyone's discarded trash, essentially. You're getting players that are good players, but they have massive, massive red flags or warts. And I say they should be paid millions. Like there's a kid on the team that if he's not getting calls or he gets a few travel calls, he like checks himself out and just goes to the locker room, just leaves, just doesn't want to play. Tells coach, I don't want to play anymore. Obviously it's dramatized, but I can tell you, I've been around kids like that, teammates of mine, and kids that have come through college programs and even trying out, and. I've been around guys like that in the NBA that you just can't reason like, hey man, just play this role. You're going to make a living in the NBA. No, like coaches hating, let me get in my bag. Let me show who I am, that kind of stuff. And it just reminded me of that. And I was just like, man, this, as dramatized as it is, that coach needs a lot of patience, man, because they're so talented, some of these kids, and even kids in that clip, like they're, obviously a little undersized maybe for D1. They might be like a 6'8", 5-man, but super athletic. They could make a living somewhere in the world from basketball, you know what I mean? And I'm only early into it, but I just wanted to bring up that, you see there's a lot of these coaches. Look, there is a lot of them out there that are shady as well, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of them out there trying to do the right thing, and every day is just a grind. And then, this kid doesn't show up for practice for 3 days. No one knows where he is. Then he shows up when he wants. It's just, and they got to kind of deal with it because like, who else are you getting? And Mark Madsen was actually in it. And he was in the last episode that I watched. He's at Utah Valley State. He was recruiting. I'm like, wrong school to recruit at, buddy.
Wrong school. Yeah. They said Ballmer was in it. I've heard like Steve Ballmer.
Oh, it wouldn't surprise me. Jumping up and down on the sideline. But Mark Madsen was there asking about one of their recruits and explaining to the coach that he's, look, I coach in Utah and the girls there don't have sex till they're married. Will that affect your player? I'm just like, it was hilarious. And the coach is like, no, he's got a girlfriend. He's actually faithful too. So I think he'll be fine, but decent show, dramatized like anything. It's reality with a twist, but I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah. The problem with that stuff, Bogues, right? When I was with Grover, I don't know if I said this in the show, that somebody approached him about doing a reality show. Because we had like Eddie Curry, we had all these guys, and we had a bunch of characters working out guys in the gym. And like, so I didn't know much about reality TV. This is probably like 2011 or 2010. And like, I thought it was like semi-real, semi-not, so we went in and they liked me because of course I'm swearing me and Eddie Curry would go at it. And they would love when I did that. And then all of a sudden they were like, all right, we want you to go in the back. You're going to have a conversation with one of your trainers that work with you, and I want you to talk about whatever, like Eddie Curry or whatever. So I started talking about Eddie to the trainer, and then they cut the camera and go, no. I want you to say this specifically. This is how he's going to react, and this is how you're going to react. I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, no. This is how he goes, I said, this is how reality TV is done. He goes, every fucking show is scripted to the 9 of like exactly what's talked about, the reaction and what they were. I said, fuck this shit. Fuck this. I'm out. Like, cause I just couldn't, from that moment on, I just was totally off of reality TV. My wife watches some shit, but like, I can't do it. Cause like from that guy's perspective that did a bunch of these shows, like from Kardashian or whatever, they said it's all scripted. Like 100, almost 99% of it's scripted. I'm like, fuck this. But Bogues, like the JUCO deal, right? That used to be a huge deal. With prep schools now has almost destroyed prep school basketball. JUCO basketball. It used to be guys like Mookie Blaylock, Larry Johnson, Sean Marion, like a laundry list of big time players that played JUCO basketball. But now, because of like these sham prep schools that are all over the country, that people basically could just get their grades from anything, they'll just cheat their balls off. The JUCO is really taking a hit, but the California JUCOs are worse because they don't pay those guys anything. Fucking the standard of living's out of this world, but the players they got to deal with are complete misfits now. If you thought they got misfits back in like 2000. The misfits they got back then, they got nothing on the guys today that some of these guys got to coach. It's crazy. But like you said, they deserve a lot of money.
Yeah, it's tough. It's an interesting show and a lot of talent floating around the world, but there's the part of it is just putting it together and showing up and being professional and all that kind of stuff. But some of those small schools, man, they up against it. Anyway, thanks for joining us again. It's been a couple of weeks. Hope everyone had great holidays, and we will continue to bring these out in the next couple of weeks, bro. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, folks. Catch you guys later.
Let's get Rogue.